Hello, Bravo bosses, and welcome to the Bravo Investigator podcast with me, your host, Dana. I'm sorry about the late episode today, but it is so worth it because we are doing a very special episode today. Today, I'm joined by Sophie Ross from the Snarkbait Podcast. She also guests on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey every Monday, and you can also check her out in the documentary An Update on Our Family. Sophie Ross has just like the best online presence. She's like the Twitter queen. I just love the way she thinks. We have sort of the same alignment when it comes to our thinking on reality TV. So I thought that she was the perfect person today to join me on our episode called The Downfall of Lisa Vanderpump. Let's get into it. Sophie Ross, welcome to the Bravo Investigator podcast.
Hi, Dana. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. This is our first time meeting, quote unquote, IRL. And, I have been a listener of yours for quite some time. You have So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. You have your new podcast, Snarkbait, where I myself am a baby snark. And I just feel like I've always really enjoyed your voice, your style, and I feel like we're very aligned morally, ethically, reality TV-ly.
Uh-huh.
And so I just felt like you would be the perfect person to have this conversation today. And what we're going to be talking about is the downfall of Lisa Vanderpump. So what do you feel about Lisa Vanderpump as a general entity? Like when I say LVP, what's your first reaction?
Okay. First of all, my favorite compliment is when someone says, I love your takes, because some of my takes can be very hot. So when someone says they agree with my takes or we're aligned on our Bravo opinions, like that is my favorite thing to hear. So I love that. When it comes to LVP, I think that her downfall has been a very long time coming. I
Hmm.
am not one of those people, and it's crazy. I feel like the LVP stands have kind of dissipated in recent months, or at least decreased because they used to be everywhere, right? I feel like
Right.
there was this whole movement to get her back on Beverly Hills for years and years and years, and I always was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. And we're obviously going to get into the fact that I think she hates women.
Right.
She hates other women. She wants to be the only woman. But yeah, those are kind of my, top line feelings about her is that I think her downfall has been a long time coming.
For sure. And like we obviously first saw her on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Mhm.
In my opinion, that first season, I felt like she was very quiet and didn't really show as much of her personality. I felt like Adrienne Maloof was more so the queen bee. And then I don't know, I think in season two, she started to really come into her own in a bad way, in a way where she's realizing that she can manipulate people. And I think it was very early on, like season two, I think it's season two reunion, where Kyle Richards says, like, you manipulate people, every move that you make is so calculated. It's like playing chess with Bobby Fischer. And that's, a
Mhm.
statement that's been carried over for like a decade. And while that's, kind of a shitty thing to say about your friend, it is a theme that we've seen progress over the years, definitely in Beverly Hills, and we'll move on to BPR at some point. But I did a little bit of rewatching this weekend, and you can see the way that she sort of grasps onto, and I hate to call people weaker, but like maybe the
Mhm.
more impressionable.
The
And so people
broken beds, the
the broken
broken
bits.
beds.
So you've got Brandy and initially Kyle, or not even necessarily the broken birds, but even when Dorit came onto the scene, it's like a new person that she can start fresh with and manipulate and
Mhm.
be like, that person is on my side. And I think it was season four where there was the situation with Mo and Kyle, where the only actual cheating rumor that actually came out ever about him while they were
Mhm.
actually married, there was that magazine that had alluded to this rumor. And Kyle, oh, or sorry, not Kyle, what's her name? Lisa. Lisa
Lisa.
allegedly told Brandy to put the magazine in her bag to bring it on a cast trip. And she also brought it to camera. And you know what that means. If you bring up a rumor on camera, whether or not it's in the tabloids, because there's a tabloid rumor every day. If you bring it to camera, it means it needs to be talked about, right? So
Mhm.
I definitely think that I can see what she's saying. Listen, I'm not a chess player, but I understand the basic concept of moving pieces around to make it fit a narrative to suit your story. And do you
Mhm.
think that that's truly something that she was always trying to do?
I think for sure. And even I remember that one scene where she brought up the cheating rumors to Kyle in front of, I think it was Portia. I remember it
Mhm.
so vividly in Kyle's kitchen. And Kyle's like, what the fuck? And while I appreciate that, I mean, like, that's what we want out of our reality stars. Like, we don't want you hiding shit. And that's kind of what Kyle does. And that's why I think people get frustrated with Kyle. Um, but at the same time, it does feel very calculated. And I also think that Lisa has this bully side of her. If you remember, it's been, a couple of years since I've rewatched the early seasons of Beverly Hills, which is peak reality TV, as
So
you and I
good.
both know. Remember
And dark
Joyce?
too. Joyce, but I'm
So
thinking
dark.
Taylor, it's very dark.
Taylor, but like the bullying of Joyce
Hmm.
when Brandy was, just being like really racist against
Yes, I
her.
just watched that yesterday.
And Lisa is sitting there giggling. Like, I just think that she is such a bully. I think she is very calculating. And while some of it is, necessary for a good reality TV show, I think that there is something we use the term dark energy a lot on Snarkbait. I think that she is extremely nefarious dark energy,
Oh my
personally.
gosh, that is such a good point. And when you speak of dark energy, what really resonates with me is I don't remember the season, but the Lucy Apple Juicy season, right? That
Yes.
was her downfall in terms of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, meaning she never came back. But
Yeah.
in that season, I mean, we almost have like proof. We have Teddy saying, your people were messaging me and texting me and telling me to bring up this Lucy Apple Juicy situation on camera. And it was
Hmm.
so obvious to me what Lisa was doing, where she's like, Dorit gave the dog back, but I don't want to make it look like I had an issue with that. So I'm going to send my people in so that they can bring it to camera and create an
Hmm.
issue and get Teddy involved. And while Teddy like fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, she eventually
Hmm.
was like, wait a minute, I'm being manipulated. And
Yeah.
I know we all hate Teddy, but I loved that. She really like, stuck to her guns. And that was kind of
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a season that was. That was like just so ridiculous how big of a storyline that became. And I almost wonder, like, what is worse? The fact that Dorit did that, as in, gave up a dog that she had adopted, or the fact that Lisa leaked it. It reminds me of like the summer house, like Craig getting kicked out of Kai Mando's wedding. What's worse, the fact that that happened or the fact that someone leaked it to the press? Like, it's bad that it happened. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, again, this is proof of Lisa being kind of like that puppet master behind the scenes. And I think she is better in a role like a Vanderpump Rules type role where she is just kind of like, oh, I'm a producer basically. Darling, I'm basically a producer. I don't want her back on the Housewives because I think she does produce too much.
I completely agree with you there, and we'll get to Vanderpump Rules, but I want to touch on one thing more with the Lucy Apple Juicy, and it's the fact that I don't know what it was. Like she's normally a really good puppet master, so I don't know if it was the fact that her brother did die that year, so maybe she wasn't
Yeah.
like in the best headspace in terms of her scheming, but just the whole thing with I don't remember which John it was, but there was like a John Lizard and a John Blizzard or something like that. These guys that worked for her, and she tries to rectify the situation that season by sitting him down in her house, John Lizard, and says, you and I don't know each other, right? So you told Teddy to go doing all of this stuff, and I had nothing to do with it, right? And that situation was just so bizarre to me. You bring this guy to your house, you say, we don't know each other, but you manipulated a situation, then she doesn't fire him. So I'm sorry, he creates this entire situation just to create drama, and you don't fire him? And he's alleging
No.
initially to Teddy that this was all on you. And the what do you call it? The lie detector test. This is so juvenile and weird and twisted. Like it was just to me like you are grasping at straws for anything here. You're gonna go do a lie detector test. This is what is this, Maury Povich? Like this is so like
Yeah. Yeah.
ridiculous. What are we doing here? So I think she almost like lost her edge. And so
Hmm.
because of that, she knew she couldn't come to the reunion. She
Yep.
had no legs to stand on, and she
Yep.
knows what that means. But for her, she felt like I have I have tried to manipulate this in all the ways that I can, and I've lost the plot. I can't win, so I have to leave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. She can't accept defeat.
right.
And she also is famously one of the only housewives in history or anyone on any Bravo show to voluntarily leave themselves and not get
Hmm.
fired. Which, by the way, I have gotten confirmation that Garcelle 1000% left on her own accord. She
Okay.
was invited back. So we have Garcelle. I don't know who else though. Like Lisa was kind of like, I think
Mary
the
Cosby.
first. Oh, and Bethany Frankel.
Oh, did
I
she not come to
think.
a reunion though? Because there's the whole
Oh,
reunion of
oh,
it, right?
not reunion aside.
Okay, not
I
coming
just
back.
mean quitting the show
Right.
because usually every housewife is like, I'm never leaving. Like this keeps me relevant. It's a paycheck. I love being on TV because I'm a narcissist. But Lisa actually left on her own accord.
Speaking of narcissists, I was curious if you think that she is, because I had this moment the other day. And as you know, we all love to use the word narcissist, but you and
Hmm.
I, as educated women, we actually know what it means. And
Yeah.
I was having a moment where I was thinking about it. So I have recently cut out my mom, who is a narcissist. And one of the main things that she would do is if there was anything in my life that was for me, she would make it about her. So when I was like 22, I had just finished school, just finished my master's in criminology, had never really been on a trip because I could never really afford it. I was always in school, always working, always doing whatever. So I finished school and my friend is like, "Do you want to go to Mexico as like a big like graduation trip for us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." I had been out of school maybe 2 weeks. I was working for Passport Canada, handing out numbers to people to wait in line. That was my job after my master's. And my mom says, "Well, if you're going on a trip, you don't pay me rent. And so because you don't pay me rent, then it's like I'm paying for your trip. So it's like my trip. So you can't go unless you pay me rent." And she did the same thing to my sister. So I couldn't go on the trip because I obviously can't afford it. I've only been working for 2 weeks and it was a part-time job at Passport Canada. So, and again, this is like my first trip ever. And so I can't go because it's about you, because you take care of me because I don't pay you rent. And again, like my parents are very well off. Okay. This is not like that kind of situation. So you just took a trip that was supposed to be about me and turned it into something about you. And that is just so what Lisa
Hmm.
does. And it kind of takes me to Vanderpump Rules, which we'll get into. But little things where like Katie or Tom cheats on Katie with Lala's friend. And then
Hmm.
Lisa makes that about her and says, like, well, I'm going into business with you. And like, what am I supposed to do? Leave keys with someone who's going to be like blacking out and drinking all night? How could
Hmm.
you do this to me? And he had to apologize to Lisa for cheating on Katie.
Yeah. And Katie, I guess, has recently said that Lisa, you would know better than me because I just saw like a headline. I think I read an article about it about how Katie on her podcast, because she now has the Disrespectfully pod
It was actually on the
with
Bile Thumbs.
on the bio files.
Yeah.
And thank you. And basically was like, yeah, Lisa was giving me shit for splitting up with Schwartz and making me feel bad and basically taking Schwartz's side.
Yeah.
And that's what she does.
Right.
And yeah, probably makes it about herself. And I know we throw around the word narcissist like a lot. And I don't want to diagnose someone, but yeah, she definitely has some hallmark narcissistic traits for
Yeah,
sure.
some tendencies for sure. We see a lot of that in Vanderpump Rules. And yeah, so I guess we've just seen a lot lately in the news. So
Hmm.
Katie has come out and said something. Sheena has said, she only contacts me when she wants something. I
Hmm.
think one of the most interesting ones was Ally Lewber, who was on the Bell Files
Yeah.
last week. And she said that Lisa called her after the James DV incident 1 or 2 months later, so not after the
Hmm.
fact, 1 or 2 months later, and says, "Did he hurt you?" and that kind of thing. I really need to know. But then says, "You should get back together with him. He really loves you. You should go with him to his shows this weekend." And Allie, you were drinking too. And it's just wild to me. Like, and even Allie in that moment said, "I'm kind of afraid to be saying this, and I don't know why I'm afraid because what can she do to me?" But there is still this fear within them. I mean, not
Hmm.
all of them, right? I'm really impressed that people like Katie and Sheena and others are coming out and saying things. Why do
Hmm.
you think people are comfortable saying things now, aside from the obvious, with there being no show? And
Yeah.
why do you think Allie is still afraid?
Well, Allie is also kind of like, she's still relatively new to this reality TV world. She was only on, what, 2 seasons of Vanderpump before it, was canceled or not canceled, the reboot, recasted. But Lisa is definitely this all-powerful, like, figure. I don't know. Like I can totally understand why someone who is kind of like this small town Ohio girl who's new to the reality TV world would see this person who's been on TV for decades, lives in this sprawling Beverly Hills mansion. Who knows what kinds of other connections she has? I don't know. I'm not going to say she's connected to the mob, but like can't rule it out. I can totally see why she would be scared of her. And obviously, like you said, the obvious reason why people didn't want to speak out against her during Vanderpump was because she was the boss. She was the boss not only of, Sir and all of that, but even after they left Sir, she was the boss of the show and she ruled the show. Vanderpump rules. Um, but yeah, I mean, the way that she has covered up for James's behavior is probably the most egregious thing that she has done. You've had Kristen Doty come out and say, Lisa was fully aware of how he abused me when we were together, and she was constantly covering for him, constantly making excuses for him. Honestly, Bravo as a network looks really bad when you think about the fact that they let James's behavior slide for years and years.
So I did some thinking into like why it came to that or why she's protecting those men in this way. And I just have this like theory that something happened with James, not necessarily the things that we know. Something happened and she covered up for that. And then it led to like a domino effect of where she just having to cover and cover and cover and cover.
Mhm.
And then everyone, and I sort of likened it to, do you remember the show How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah, duh.
Okay.
Why is your penis on a dead girl's phone?
Oh my God. It's been so many years. Oh my gosh, that was such a good show.
Classic.
But the
Classic.
idea, oh, sorry, my dog. Um, but there was this concept in it, and tell me if you sort of took it the same way, that Viola Davis was like, she's the
You mean
teacher,
Annalise Keating?
Annalise Keating. So we'll go with Annalise. What was her real name though? She had like that wasn't her real name. It was like Anna Marie or
Oh,
Anna
oh,
Lee.
and it was like Anna, and it was something like trashier. Like it was supposed to be
Okay.
like, oh, she's just some hodunk. Oh, I need to look it up because it's gonna bother me. Sorry, keep going though.
Yeah, you keep going. Or sorry, I'll keep going while you look it up. But I just had this feeling that when they, they're all involved in this murder, yet she's created this vibe or ambiance that like
Oh, sorry. Anime.
anime,
Anna
right?
May. Okay, sorry,
Anime.
sorry. Anime.
Anime.
Sorry.
So Annalise is trying to create this vibe for her students who are involved in this murder, who are terrified and everything about what's going to happen. She's like, you all have to do exactly what I say. You guys are all in trouble. I'm not. I'm not really involved, but everything that I do is for you to protect you. So then they also ended up following suit in a way where, like, she's our protector. We have to listen to everything that she says. I want
Mhm.
to play you a clip of something. Do you remember the podcast, The Bitch Bible? It's still on. I don't know why I'm acting like it's not. Bitch Bible with Jackie
Yes.
Schimmel.
Yes, yes.
So I want to play you a clip from this podcast. This is from 2019. This is with Jax Taylor.
James Kennedy and the things that he was doing and his patterns like kind of make you look inward and be like, holy fuck, like that's what I was doing, and then rejig the format.
Well, I don't like to be, I compare myself to him a little bit, but the things that he's done, which have not been talked about, are way worse than what I've done.
Yes.
Way now, considering what I've done is bad, and I'm not justifying. I'm not saying who's worse and who's
No, I think
bad.
you've taken accountability.
Yeah, we're just not allowed to talk about the things that he's done.
I know.
And what he should be not on the show anymore. To be honest, it's.
I kind of alluded to that in an episode with Kristen because I have heard things that and I understand protecting the franchise,
For protecting the
network,
franchise, the network, yes.
and your cast. And listen, this is how you guys make money. It's a really popular show.
Right.
But if everybody's saying it,
I know. And it's just one of those things that's just kind of, we have to stay away from. And it really bothers me because he just kind of is just getting away with murder, really. And it's just,
No.
it's
fucking frustrating.
I can't wait to do a tell-all book when this is all over. Because I'm going to do it. As soon as
I mean, I would love to read that. And that was obviously pre the Valley, but what the fuck is that? What does that mean? Right? I mean, it just
Oh
shows
my
that this
God.
cover up goes so incredibly deep that casts were
Yeah.
literally told, don't say anything. And this is, he's literally saying the words without the words, protect the realm,
Yeah.
protect the realm. And I hate sounding like Bethany Frankel, but, and actually on that note,
It's true.
you actually, so what do you think of that? Like, how does that make you feel hearing that?
First of all, that's a great find. Second of all, if Jax Taylor is calling you worse than him, also, I mean, like Jax Taylor, he's not known to be someone who has a whole lot of self-awareness. I take everything he says with a grain of salt, but like,
Fair.
I mean, back in 2019, even clearly, like they knew that they were covering up for James in a way that felt very nefarious and bad. And it happened for way too long, clearly, because James was on the show up until the most recent season of Vanderpump, and everyone kind of knew. And poor Kristen Doty has probably been gaslit the fuck out of. It's just it's disgusting. And like I said, I feel like this is Lisa's most egregious defense. And I don't know. offense, sorry. I don't know if it's the fact that she goes so far back with James's mom, who, by the way, I hate James's mom. I always have. Do you remember when she preyed on Kristen's downfall and said, I think that she is going to be barren. And
Yeah,
that's going to be her payback for messing with my son,
that's
even though her
disgusting.
son was the one that was abusive to Kristen. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. The worst thing you can wish on a woman, honestly. And now look at Kristen about to give birth, like probably any day now. She was looking very pregnant at the Valley premiere, on TV, thriving in a happy relationship, engaged. And look at James. Look at James. I feel like James is finally, and I love believing that shit sinks to the bottom. I love to believe that everyone gets their just desserts. I don't know how much karma actually happens. I know that you are a little bit woo woo too. Do you believe in karma?
I mean, I get so frustrated, especially on this topic. I don't know if you know about my background, but I used to be a sexual abuse investigator for many years. And it was a big part of my role to be neutral and impartial, which sucked because I just
Mhm.
had to listen to women tell me day in, day out these horrifying things that would happen to them and not really be able to do anything about it because that just wasn't my role. And in this role, which is a different sort of, vibe where, like you said, we do this for fun and because we enjoy it. And while this topic isn't necessarily fun, I am someone who fights for women and fights for women's
Yeah.
rights. And these are real people. Like, yes, this is TV, but sometimes it kind of goes beyond that. And I know that you and I have a mutual hatred of Nick Vile, but I have to really respect him on the Kristen Doty front and on the Lisa
Hmm.
Vanderpump front because I feel like, and one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you is because I know you don't have any fear of Bravo. Like, I don't get paid. Bravo doesn't even know who I am, right? So I don't get any like
No.
PR kits or any of that shit, right? So like I can say whatever I want for the time being. And,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't or feel like they can't. And so that's why I really appreciate that about you. And now I've completely lost my train of thought. Hang on.
Oh,
To cut
I
this.
asked about karma and shit sinking to the
Karma.
bottom because James, again, he got away with this for so
Right.
long and now he's finally lost. It seems like every stream of income he ever had.
Well, that I'm not sure of. So, do I believe in karma? Yes. Sometimes I get a little woo-woo. Yes. Would I wear like a lucky bra to a test? For sure. But there was a time. I mean, when it comes to this stuff, because it can be like legal or technical or this kind of thing, where there was times where I'm like, this is so unfair. How are these things happening? How
Hmm.
are these people allowed to be on TV? How is this happening? This is so unfair. So when karma does finally hit, I do, it is a good feeling. That being said, though, I mean, he blocked me, obviously, but when I check him from my burner account, it seems like he still has shows constantly. And I think he makes quite a bit of money at them. The interesting part of this, and I don't know if you've actually thought about it from this perspective, but like because we're not watching them on TV right now, it's so hard to like not even just remember them, but to even think about them in that way. Because if we were watching James on TV right now, or I'm kind of thinking about that, would he be like crying at Lisa's house, being like, this is so unfair. Everybody's canceling me. I don't know what to do. We're not seeing
Yeah.
that part. So in my mind, I'm like, he seems fine. He must be fine. But it's because we're not seeing
Yeah.
him on TV. I don't really know what's
Yeah.
going on. So that's why I'm kind of curious why Lisa called Ally. And even Ally said like she's a producer, but of what? Like what would she be trying to gain out of this? Unless it's
Yeah.
just to get James uncanceled. But like everything has to
Yeah.
relate back to her. So how does this help her? And the only thing I can think of is like, if James loses everything, then maybe he'll open his mouth about things that have been covered up, or maybe other people will, and she's just trying to wheel it
Do
all back in.
damage control. Do
Yeah.
damage control. That is such an interesting thing to think about because what does she gain? The show has an entirely new cast, which by the way, just started filming like last week.
Oh, did it?
Um, yeah, I thought it already like filmed like a couple months ago, but I guess not. So we have to wait a long time for the new Vanderpump
Right.
season. But yeah, I would think that part of it is damage control. It's so crazy because if Allie gets back together with James and in her mind, all is right in the world, everything is fine. None of us would forget what happened. Like the reality is that James to us is still a horrible person and canceled. But yeah, I think that part of it is like trying to protect James, but then also in a bigger sense, protect her brand because he's so attached to her brand and what other shit will come out.
Hmm.
If people feel empowered to come out about James, what else is going to come out? You know?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned damage control because I don't know if you heard about this podcast that this guy Patrick McDonald did with Bethany Frankel. Did you hear about this?
I don't
So
think so.
so he was an ex VPR producer. You may remember him. He was the one that Tom
Oh,
Sandoval was yelling
yes,
at the
yes,
reunion, being
yes,
like, I just want to take a
yes.
break. So this guy is
Yeah,
now doing OnlyFans, so he's no longer with the network. And
yeah.
so he released a couple of TikToks or videos about the poor treatment of staff on these shows. And then then he goes on Bethany Frankel's podcast and he says that Lisa Vanderpump called him and was like, so are there just going to be the two videos then? And asking him like what he's standing to gain from this. And he had such a great perspective. He's like, well, I don't have anything to gain, Lisa. Like, why would it be a bad thing to call out people being mistreated? That's a good thing. And she's like, well,
Yeah.
well, you need to tell me the names of these showrunners because I'm the person that hires these people. And it's like, all right. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. And then she
Yeah.
was like, well, do you want to come back to Vanderpump Rules? And it's like, wow, the manipulation, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, he saw it as like protecting the realm and he saw it as like what's good for Bravo is good for Lisa. But who is Lisa Vanderpump to go and call this guy? Like, it's just so weird to me. She
Who
has a Hulu
is
show. She's an executive producer on The Valley, but doesn't even know anyone on it. How are you like, what do you care?
who is Lisa Vanderpump in this world? You know, another thing that I just thought of is the fact that like maybe her trying to manipulate Ally into getting back together with James would in turn discredit every other person who's coming out about the shit that James has done. Well, it's like, oh, well, Ally
Mhm.
says everything is fine. Like she is just so manipulative. It's insane.
In that vein, I mean, this is a little off topic, but do you feel like Sheena is sort of starting to mini Lisa herself? She seems to be attaching herself to the younger, more impressionable people that are around her. First Raquel, then Ally. And, it seems like she's always trying to befriend or manipulate a narrative to help continue to propel herself forward. I'm just having a second thought now. Maybe she doesn't even know any different because that's just sort of the way she's seen this kind of thing portrayed over the years with Lisa. But I just find it interesting because if you look at Ally saying on the Vile Files, well, about whether she believes Raquel and Kristen, she said, well, I heard from other people that it was toxic on both ends. And that's exactly what Sheena said, So Sheena is
Hmm.
also manipulating Ally a little bit into
Wow.
how James is.
That's such an interesting thought. I think in my mind, I just don't give Sheena enough credit for being, I'm like, she's not
Fair,
smart enough to manipulate anyone. I don't think
fair.
she's cunning. I just don't think that she's smart or cunning in the way that Lisa is. I also think that she is so, and I love me some Sheena. I do. I have such a soft spot for her. I'm such a Sheena apologist. I think that she is a lonely person in her personal life. And that's always what I attribute to the fact that she always wants to be besties with whatever new girl shows up, is that I don't think she has that many friends. So that's kind of what I attribute it to. I could be wrong. I don't see her as a master manipulator at all because I don't think she's smart enough
Fair.
personally.
Fair. And that's sort of what Nick Vile said a long time ago about Sandoval. At the end of the day, he's like, I don't know that he was actually smart enough to have pulled off like this
Yeah.
narcissistic, sociopathic thing that we all created. It was fun for us in the moment. But yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
On the front of Vanderpump Rules, I think what's so interesting about the new show is that, you know, for me, I'm following that cast of people. We grew to love those people.
Hmm.
And she has found a way, Lisa, to stay on TV in the only way where she can control it. So it goes back to what you were saying about Beverly Hills, because she can't control Beverly Hills. It's a whole cast
Hmm.
of people and everyone was against her. The only way she can maintain control on TV is a show like VPR where she can be the leader and the mother figure, and you're his
Hmm.
mother figure. And with this new show, it's like, okay, we want to see this cast, but instead we're going to get rid of all those people, throw in all new people, and the only person who gets to stay is Lisa Vanderpump, which is just wild to
Hmm.
me because that's the only person we don't care to watch. And I'm sure she's heard our commentary over the years where it's like, you basically don't have a place here. These people are 40 years old. They don't have a reason to come talk to you, but the new cast will because they actually work at SUR. So it's actually kind of brilliant considering the fact that we actually have no interest in seeing her in that capacity. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or do
it
you?
is it is for no, I don't. I don't, but it is crazy. Like you said, like it really is crazy how she has set up this universe where she gets to be this omnipresent producer role while also being on TV and also pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's crazy. I personally have zero interest in watching Vanderpump Villa. I know that the first season Is this the second season or the third season?
It's the second. I only got into maybe 2 episodes.
I had no interest in watching the first season because I have always had beef with Lisa Vanderpump. I'm glad that other people are catching on, just saying. But even like bringing Stassi in as a way to like attract those early, like you said, like people are attached to those personalities. They're not
Right.
attached to Lisa Vanderpump per se or the concept of the show itself. They're attached to Stassi, Jax, Kristen, like the early Vanderpump personalities. I have no interest in watching Stassi either. Like, I don't know, but it's working. Like, people are like, oh my God, thank God Queen Stassi is going to be back on TV. And here's Lisa Vanderpump once again. And I know that, you know, a lot of people are like, well, Stassi's changed. She's a family woman now. She has kids and a husband, and she's like so mature now. I will not forget what Stassi did. And this is coming from the biggest former Stassi stan. If you know me, you know I used to worship her, literally worship her. I had gone to like events that she was at so
Me
I could
too.
meet her. I was obsessed with Stassi. And now I cannot stand her. I will not forget what she did to Faith and what got her quote unquote canceled to begin with. But Lisa Vanderpump doesn't care. She does because she has no morals.
Right. Exactly. That's the thing. There's no
Yeah.
morals involved. I'm so curious your thoughts on, I guess, the whole cast now feeling like, or her always trying to make people feel like they owe her for the end of time.
Mhm.
I really regret listening to The Pursuit of Sassiness this morning with Michelle Saini. And the only reason I listened to it is because apparently they were going to talk about Lisa for a second. So she had Sheena on. And it was very brief, but they were just talking about the concept of like, yeah, you gave me this job and you gave me this opportunity, but we were the cast that made it go forward and we were the
Yep.
ones that people were interested in, were popular. So
It's true.
how long do we have to owe you for? Do you know what I mean? And so what do you think about that concept of like, you know, someone gives us an opportunity and we're so thankful, but at what point can you stop saying thank you and just be your own person and a person who has achieved those things for yourself? Because if Sheena, or maybe not
Exactly.
Sheena, but like Ariana goes on and does Chicago on Broadway, does she have to thank Lisa for that in retrospect? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, no, she doesn't. I think that, you know, that show originally was filmed in 2012. They have made themselves what they are. Obviously, Bravo giving them the opportunity, Lisa giving them the opportunity, got their foot in the door, but they do not owe Lisa shit, in my opinion. And I hate that idea. Actually, we on Snarkbait, we just did an episode on Brown a Chicken Fry,
Mhm.
and she's an influencer who
Mhm.
brought her best friend, Grace O'Malley, along for the ride. And then when her and Grace started having a falling out, she's like, well, I made her. It's like so Regina George, it's like I practically invented her.
Wait, did she
Like
actually say that?
she literally like says that she's like, I made her. I am the
Love
reason
that.
that she has all these opportunities. It's so narcissistic.
Right.
It really is. And Sheena's right when she says that the only reason we cared about Vanderpump Rules in the first place was because of the cast.
Mhm.
And I know that Lisa Vanderpump has her diehard stands, but let's not be delusional and pretend that like Lisa Vanderpump was ever the star of Vanderpump Rules, as much as
No.
she probably thinks she was.
Well, there was that scene at the end of right before all the cancellations where Jack says, like, that's why my show is so popular. And she's like, it's my show. And it's like, it
Yeah.
is your show, but that is just because it's your concept. Here's the thing. Yes, it was her concept, but that was because of all those people that were working for her that she saw fighting each other
Yeah.
all the time and cheating on each other all the
Yeah.
time and said, hey, these people will make a good show. So they came up with the concept by just being the people that they were,
Being
if you think about
themselves.
it.
And also, it's like, yeah, Lisa, you're rich, you're wealthy, you're powerful. You had the money to finance all of these restaurants and kind of get the show, get the wheels turning on this show. You're wealthy. I think that's what it comes down to is that she has money and opportunities because of that money. I think she's the most entertaining person in the world? Obviously not. Like, uh, her money has gotten her to where she is on television, at least.
On television for sure. Well, I mean, in the business world too. And it makes me wonder about, you know, misogyny. And it doesn't seem to be something that has really impacted her. And I wonder if that's money or if that's her always being part of like an old boys club. And, you know, we don't see
Hmm.
the people that she really hangs out with, but I'm sure, like in terms of her businesses, she's always hanging out with people who are going to get her somewhere and are more successful. And she, you know, we've seen her do this on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. get rid of people who don't really serve her best interests, right? So when I think of reality TV, I mean, Vanderpump Villa, we'll see. They're trying it with the Stassi thing. We'll see if that works. Vanderpump Rules, honestly, I don't think it's going to be a hit. What do we have? The Valley. I mean, she's technically executive producer. We love that. I just see, especially with all the cast coming out recently and just being like, fuck this woman. I'm just curious where that lies for her in terms of reality TV. Yeah, she does still have a lot of huge connections. She was just on Bravo's Hot Mic with Alex Baskin, and she is one of the very few people who's been able to not go to a reunion and be able to come back to TV. So I'm curious what that means for her with reality TV. I mean, I hope that we are finally getting to a time where people are starting to see her for who she really is and
Mm-hmm.
see that, she really manipulated a lot of people when they were young and poor. And I don't know what'll happen for her going forward in terms of her businesses. I mean, she's always saying we have like 34, 36 businesses and bars and restaurants, whatever. But in terms of TV, I just feel like, and I'm hoping we're starting to see the downfall of LVP.
Well, we're going to need these listeners out there to please boycott Vanderpump Villa. I can't boycott the Valley personally because I'm
No.
obsessed with the
Mhm.
Valley. I refuse to, but also like she doesn't really show up in the Valley. She's just a quote unquote executive producer. But don't watch Vanderpump Villa. It shouldn't be too hard. It looks really bad. I had no interest in watching the first season, but when you say like she has escaped misogyny, quote unquote, like that's such an interesting thing to think about. And I think that part of it is that she's always been conventionally attractive, even at her age now. Like
That's true.
she, that was always like a running joke is that like, oh, the Vanderpump, and she loved it. Like Schwartz, like always like
Yeah.
had a crush on her.
Yeah.
And she always would side with men. She would throw any woman under the bus. And I think that that has helped her in this, patriarchy that we live in. She knew what she had to do to
Right.
get into the boys club, which was throw women under the bus at every turn. And we've seen it time and time again with how she's treated Ally Lewber, Kristen Doty, Katie Maloney. Every woman, she always sides with the men. She would always side with the men on Vanderpump Rules, no matter what, no matter how despicable their behavior was, James Kennedy, Jax Taylor, whoever it is. Like, that's just like, I think that that has been such a trick of hers under the radar is
Right.
that she always knew to side with men.
Yeah. And it's not even that brilliant if you think about it, but it just
Yeah.
shows her morals. And there's one
Yeah.
other thing I want to mention, and this is controversial, but I'm just going to say it for the sake of saying it. There was another call that she made to a cast member, and that was Raquel. That was back when we weren't sure if she was coming back to the show for season 11.
Mhm.
And I think Raquel had actually reached out to her because she saw that Graham had been given back to James and she freaked out, which we all know now has more to do with what we saw in those legal documents that said James kicked her family dog 4 times at a family dinner. So, um, that's obviously now why Raquel called Lisa to be like, I don't feel comfortable with James being with the dog. And she just tried to propel her to come back to the show anyways and be like, come to my house, darling, come to Villa Rosa and you can apologize to me. For what? Right. And it's just, you may have your opinions about Raquel. We all do. But, I believe that part. I believe that James
Yeah.
did that. And I have a real issue with her giving a dog to James who did that and then not listening to Raquel after she said, I don't feel like the dog is safe. Aren't you the biggest proponent of like animals and their safety and everything? Because that's the one thing we see her doing all
Yeah.
these philanthropic things on TV, right? So it's hard to be like, she's a completely awful person because look how much she cares for animals. She saved a bird with her bosom at one point, right? I mean,
Mhm.
but I think there's something to be said again where like, okay, I'll protect the animal if it doesn't affect my best interests.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. And I think that, of course, I genuinely think she loves animals. She obviously loves her animals to an almost disturbing degree with how she sexualizes them.
Isn't he
Um,
sexy,
isn't
darling?
he sexy? I'm like, that's a dog. That's a chihuahua. Um,
Look at the sexy chihuahua,
I
darling.
know. Oh my God, what a cutie. But I think that some of it also is performative
Mhm.
in a way. I think that she knows again how to manipulate an audience, and I think that all of this philanthropy that she does and that she constantly talks about, I think that it's performative. It's to make her look good. And again, this
Mhm.
goes back to, she is so strategic and so cunning, and narcissistic. I feel confident saying, I know that, again, people throw this word around a lot. And what do we know? What is it our right to diagnose someone? But yeah, I think that she definitely has narcissistic tendencies. And I think that's one of them. It's like, look how amazing of a person I am. Like, please, Lisa.
You are not amazing, my friend. You are not. I mean,
No.
you are, Sophie, of course. One last thing I just want to say is like about the business practices, because yeah, like I am hoping we see the downfall of her for reality TV. I'm not so sure about her businesses, but I don't know if you remember about that whole thing when Pump closed and she said it was because the rent increased, or the landlord said the rent increased. Then the landlord came out and said, no, we didn't increase the rent.
Hmm.
And then when Andy questioned it on the reunion, she was just like, okay, we'll go back then. Like she just tries to like go around things a little bit. And it's
Yes.
like, so do you have shady business practices as well? And if so, maybe her downfall will also be in business because yeah, like we've discussed, she knows to stick with the men. She knows to work with the old boys
Mhm.
club. But if you're going to be shady in your business practices, and listen, I haven't kept fully up to date with every lawsuit she's ever had, but they have been a part of a number of things, if I'm not mistaken, Ken and
Yes.
Lisa, with regards to their businesses, staff, things like
Yes.
that. So what's the saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire. So, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
she needs to be careful. Not, if she wants to be like, okay, well, if this isn't going to work for me in reality TV anymore, no problem. I've got all my businesses. Ugh, you cannot be this, you can't be shady in both respects because
Yeah.
eventually it'll come back to kick you in the ass.
Oh, totally, totally. Also, have you ever eaten at Sir?
No, I've never been to LA.
Oh my God, the food is so bad.
Really?
Oh my God, it's like famously so bad.
Even the
So
goat cheese
bad.
balls, though?
Even the goat cheese
Oh,
balls. And I love a goat cheese ball. Um, yeah, I just had to shout that out. I had to shout it out that like the restaurants are not known to be good, you guys. They're tourist attractions. They have Vanderpump Rules playing on the TV. Like they're so
they
like
do? Oh, wow.
yeah. Oh my God. It's like not a real place. It's like being at like Disney World. They're
Oh,
tourist attractions because Lisa's on TV. They're not like actually like good institutions. So I just want to make that clear also that like keep your expectations low if you do plan on going to LA or go to Wolf in Lake Tahoe.
wait,
My
have you been
God.
there?
No, I've
Okay.
never been to Lake Tahoe. But I just think it's funny also from what I've heard is that she like everything with Vanderpump Villa or whatever it is, like it always has to be about her other business ventures. And we saw it on Vanderpump where she's like, I need to have a photo shoot for Wolf, my new Lake Tahoe restaurant. It's like all one big commercial for Lisa.
Hmm. Which I think she
Like,
has said on recently on a podcast, if I'm not mistaken. I think she actually said, like, why wouldn't I monetize on like these people, right? So she's like, I did Vanderpump Rules because I figured it'd be good for my business. So
yeah.
that's why in every season she's bringing up a new business because maybe the businesses or people wouldn't know they existed if she wasn't talking about it on TV. But I'm actually curious if there's people who like just walk off the street and are like, oh, there's a restaurant, let's go there. Or do you think it's like you said, a tourist attraction where like every person who goes to those restaurants is a VPR fan? Do you think?
That's so funny to think about. Like
There's got
I'm
to be
just
the odd
imagining
person off the street.
there has to be the odd person who's never seen Summer House who just like picks up a lover boy.
Yeah.
Um,
That being said, I've never seen one. Never seen one in the wild.
yeah. Yeah, they used to be around a lot more.
Okay.
And I feel like, I personally think they're disgusting,
Oh, okay.
but I'm also not a tea person. But that's so funny to think about, like someone just like strolling into Sir and you're just like, "Wait, what is this? What is this TV show playing on the TVs and it's in this restaurant?"
But I convinced myself of that because, like, when you're watching the scenes where they're in the restaurant and there's patrons around, I assume that those are just random patrons who are not. I have to do that to myself. I
No.
have to live in delusion with reality TV
Yeah.
where I have to believe it is 100% real because that's just what makes it more fun for me. If I'm sitting there and analyzing it, being like, "That's fake," producer said to do that, that it loses the joie de vivre, as she would say.
The joie de vivre, the je ne sais quoi. No, I totally get that. I promise you that every single person that you see in these restaurants is a Vanderpump Rules fan or a Bravo fan. I promise you.
That's
Anyone
so
in
funny.
Jax's saloon, too,
For sure.
which he also apparently wanted to change the name to the Valley. And Bravo was like, no, you can't do that.
That's actually crazy because I thought that one of the main lessons that Schwartz and Sandy learned, I call them Schwartz and Sandy, that Tom and Tom learned out of all of this was not to name your business after the show because then it's too closely tied into the outcome of that
Yeah.
show. That's why something about her can continue on. Oh, that was another thing about Lisa. So Katie said that Lisa has not
Yes.
contacted Ariana or her in 342 days since she opened the restaurant. And I forget who I was doing a podcast with. It was way back when, whoever the guest that I had on, I was saying, like, do you think it's malicious in any way? And my guest was like, not at all. She's been busy. She's been doing Vanderpump Villa, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I think it is. And
Yeah.
so not only is she not called, she hasn't been in there, yet she does this shit, which is just so wild to me, where like she says on Bravo's Hot Mic, well, I didn't hear from all of the cast with the end of Vanderpump Rules. I didn't hear from Katie, but that's expected. And it's like, wait a minute. Katie just lost her job on Vanderpump Rules. You call her. You're the boss.
Yeah.
She's the employee who just lost her job. You want her to call you and be like, thank you for the opportunity. I'm fired. Like, what are you talking about? You call her. Do you see how she always does that? It's just
Again, narcissist. It's always about her.
yeah.
And also, like, Lisa, you're fine. Like, you're fine. These people just lost their main source of income.
Right,
And
right.
not that I feel bad for the reality stars that have been on TV for years and years and years. They should have enough saved up at this point that they should
And Katie
be
wasn't going
okay.
back anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. The something about her thing, again, is so funny because if it was any male cast member,
Mhm.
she'd be there. She'd be, at the launch party. She'd be with her sexy boys. But because it's two women who have come out of the show very successful and well liked, she hates that. She hates it. I'm sure she fucking hates Ariana and Ariana's success. I know she does.
Oh, deep down, yeah, because she hates
Yeah.
women because she's a misogynist. Like, that's what it is
Yeah.
deep down.
Yeah, she is supposed to be the only woman
Right.
on the planet.
And
Like,
the hottest woman.
and the hottest and the sexiest and the most successful and the wealthiest and the most popular. Like, ugh, can't stand her.
Wait, there's one other thing I want to tell you. I don't even know if you saw this. It was a million years ago. It was in one of the VPR after shows, maybe season 8. And Kristen is talking about like her kind of issues with Lisa. And she goes, listen, here's the thing with Lisa. She will convince you that something is true and make you apologize for it. She'll be like, Kristen, you killed my cat. And I'll be like, Lisa, you don't have a cat. But then somehow 20 minutes later, I'm like planning a burial for this cat and I'm apologizing for this cat and you don't even have a cat. And it was so funny because it is so true. We're like, you're apologizing for killing a cat that never existed because Lisa is so able to convince you of that, which is just, it's gaslighting. It's narcissism.
Gaslighting.
It's wild. And I'm just so proud of these people in a sense that they've come out of this because I wasn't sure they ever would, right? Because like I said, technically Lisa's still executive producer of The Valley. So I'm actually kind of shocked that Sheena is saying what she's saying, but I'm proud of them for coming out from under her shadow, under her toe, basically, and realizing that they have enough star power on their own and that they don't need her because it can be a dangerous thing to live your entire life under one person's control. You know what I mean?
I 1000% believe that also. Like, I can so see that. Do you watch Black Mirror, by the way?
No, it's too upsetting.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a new episode in this new season about someone who like literally alters reality to gaslight the fuck out of people.
Okay, I want to watch it.
And it's really good. It's called Bet Noir. Spoiler alert. It's the recent drop of episodes, which are all really good, by the way. I'm obsessed with Black Mirror. I know it's not for everyone because I love creepy
it's
shit.
the one thing that's really upsetting. It's just too real.
I get it. Some of them are really too real. Like,
Yeah.
don't watch Common People, which is another new episode that just dropped, but Bet Noir is really good. Anyway, oh my God, I lost a train of thought because I got into Black Mirror. But yeah, I believe that she is like the queen of gaslighting people. And also like the trauma in general that she has inflicted on Kristen Doty. Like
100%.
most of all, I think just can never be like just we can never make that better. Like, I feel so sad for Kristen Doty. And when all of this like James and Ally Lewber stuff came out and Kristen's like, I've been saying this and everyone knew it. Everyone knew it. Everyone. And it, again, like it is something that is so damning for the Bravo network too, that they were all covering up for James in this way. And Lisa Vanderpump most of all. And again, like we know that she's going to side with men regardless. And she hates women and she always hated Kristen. I think that also like, I don't know what it is about James, the broken bed. Maybe it is the fact that she like has known him for so long and went so far back with his evil mom.
But I can't believe that she does things without like a personal goal. So does she like that's what you and I would do because we care about
Yeah.
people because we're real people. But then I have to think, but it's Lisa. So
Yeah.
maybe James's mom has something on her. I don't know, right? Like
That's
she just doesn't do things
actually
out of the goodness of her heart. I just don't believe that.
That's actually such a good conspiracy theory. I love that. That
Craig.
like James's mom like has dirt on Lisa, and that's why Lisa is always gonna side with James and always stick up for him. And like she doesn't need to. Oh
Somebody
God.
compared James's dad the other day online to a mixture between PK and Boy George or something. I don't know, but there is a little bit of
Yeah.
PK in James's dad.
Yes, definitely. Oh my God, for sure. Ugh.
Weird about that guy too.
Ew.
Anyways, Sophie, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. I actually want to give you the last word. If there's any like, mantra or something amazing that you want to say to rally the people, the women, everyone together against LVP. You just are so good with words. And I just want to, you're the Twitter queen, and I want to give you the opportunity to use your words. You go for it.
Oh my God. Oh, this is so much pressure. First of
Oh,
all, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. And I know, DMing for a while, trying to get something like on the books. And this ended up being so last minute. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad it worked out.
Yeah.
I just think there's nothing more troubling to me than women that hate other women. And that is Lisa Vanderpump to her core. She is so, again, like I said, dark, nefarious energy. And I'm glad people are finally opening their eyes and seeing her for who she truly is. And we as women, and I don't think that something that bothers me, and if you listen to Snarkbait, which I know you do, Dana, we talk about how criticizing a woman isn't inherently misogynistic.
Thank you.
It's not. Like, people are like, well, you're criticizing Paige DeSorbo, so you're a misogynist. And it's like, no, that's white feminism at its finest. I think that when you see someone who actually is a misogynist towards other women, you see how deeply damaging it really is and how this person does not deserve the platform that she has. It's troubling to me that she keeps getting these new shows and new opportunities when it's been proven time and time again that she is a horrible human being. So yeah, that's kind of like my last words on Lisa. Don't watch Vanderpump Villa. Please don't watch it.
That's our PSA from Sophie. Well, Sophie,
Yep.
thank you so much again for being here today. I so appreciate it. Everyone, go listen to Snarkbait, and actually, please plug all the things that you have going on so the people know where to listen to and to find you.
Oh, yeah. So my podcast, Snarkbait, I co-host with my gorgeous co-host, Christy, and we drop new episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday. I am also on So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey every Monday. Follow our Snarkbait Instagram if you have an Instagram, because we're really fun over there. It's called @SnarkbaitPod is our handle. And yeah, go check it out. And thank you so much for having me, Dana. This was so much fun.
It's been so fun. All right, love you, BBs. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast in partnership with Hurrdat Media. You can watch full-length videos on Hurrdat Entertainment's YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok @the Bravo Investigator. If you enjoy the show, please leave me a 5-star review. Love you, BBs. See you next time.
A Hurrdat Media Production.